Welcome to Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about this. Yes, it's on Jihad Watch, but it's translated, and the original one, it's in German. I don't speak German, and it's behind a paywall, but it's still correct. Oh, yeah, also because I'm using an art blocker. It's that blocker deactivating. It doesn't matter. I don't speak Nazi. Yeah. All right. Now back to the news. Let's talk about it. This one is translated, and it's well. Let's try to explain it a little bit. First, Jihad Watch, it's run by Robert Spencer. If he makes a mistake, he always corrects himself on a blog post, etc., on another article. It doesn't matter. Because he will always correct himself if he makes a mistake. So, your doubts about the veracity of Jihad Watch is unfounded. Anyway, get back here. Germany, Muslim migrant rapes 11-year-old girl, is released after a month and then rapes a 13-year-old girl. Isn't diversity grand? Don't you just love that diversity where you import a bunch of people and then, you just love it. Don't you just feel the sweetness of diversity, bringing diversity into Germany? And, in fact, the Islamic population in Germany is actually overwhelmingly more prone to criminality, and really one of the worst parts of the criminality involves pedophilia and rape. Those are the exceedingly high number of crimes, and well, most of the crimes are obviously happens in other cases, but the most disturbing and the worst of the crimes, which involves not only murder and terrorism, but I mean rape and pedos, are mostly Muslims as well, Islamic people involved. Kind of like in England with those grooming gangs, which England still fucking refuses to address. Because, well, they are afraid of being called racist. And that's one of the reasons why the police had problems investigating, because they were afraid of being called racist. And, well, the same thing seems to happen in Germany. Diversity. Dortmund, it's hard to believe the man, 23, who is said to have raped a 13-year-old in Dortmund on Friday, apparently struck a month before. Okay, there seems to be a bit of a translation issue, but still. On June 20th, the Afghan is said to have raped an 11-year-old in Dortmund. It was a comparable event. The translation is really kinda Prosecutor Borg Klepping also confirmed the earlier acts when asked by Bild. He did not want to give details to protect the now 12-year-old victim. The man was caught shortly after the crime, but was released on July 3rd after only 12 days, subject to registration requirement. Reason was not considered a flight risk. The prosecutor, he had previously appeared for a narcotics offense, but not in connection with offenses. He has a permanent place of residence, and therefore there was no reason to hold refugee. Of course, it has to be the refugee. Don't you just love it? On Friday, uh, 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 on Friday, the Afghan who was a temporary resident permit then lured a 13-year-old into a hallway and also raped her. Because the girl delivered a good description of the perpetrator, Tormento was caught on Saturday night. Interesting. Prosecutor clapping he is in custody for serious sexual abuse along with rape. Don't worry, he's going to be out in a very short time because, well, he's a poor little refugee. He's a poor little Afghan, and he's also Muslim. Oh, poor guy. They can't really persecute him. They can't do anything. Oh, poor little guy. The tiny little minority, and he doesn't know what he's doing. All this thing is so overwhelming to him. Oh, poor little guy. I hate racists of low expectations. Racism is one of the worst things ever. What you're doing here is racism. And it's because you're expecting him, because he's a Muslim, because he's a refugee, he's not white. You give him a low expectation, and low expectation racism is one of the worst things ever. If this was a white male, his penalty would be enormous, and rightly so, because rapists and pedos fucking raping a child is horrendous. It's a horrific crime, and it should be punished as so. And if he was a white male, he rightly so would be punished for years and years on prison. But because he's not a white male and he's an Afghan refugee and a Muslim to boot, he gets just a slap on the wrist. My fucking god. That kid, it doesn't matter what race that kid is, will not enjoy the punishment of the guy. It's not enjoy. What's the word for this? It's not going to. I'm sorry. Things like this really drives my English out of my brain. It's not going to face the accuser and then. You know what? Fuck it. Fuck myself. Fuck everything. Fuck. Really. And then again, you know what? What can you expect from someone that comes from a region who actually encourages kids, mostly males in this case, little boys, to dance, and then they rape them, underage boys, to dance, and then gets raped by the males in the society. I forgot the name of the culture of the dance and the stuff they do, but it's endemic in Afghanistan. And you allow them to come into Germany, and then you use and encourage them to show that culture and say their culture is equal or superior than the Western culture. And then that causes them and encourages them to do this. To do this to kids. Regardless of the race or religion of the kid. It doesn't matter. The kid is a victim. And you encourage them to do this to kids. Because you then tell them directly or indirectly that their culture is superior or equal to Western culture. And then you, in your wonderful logic, say that. What was I saying? I hate reading news like this. I absolutely fucking hate reading like this. I'm not gonna lie, it triggers me. Because this is just... The guy just received a fucking slap on his wrist. Just a tiny little slap on his wrist. He walks free, he then rapes again, and he will very likely just receive a tiny little slap on his wrist. And then he's likely going to commit another crime like this. And he's not going to get deported. He may or may not face any prison time after this. And the victims, what do they get? Nothing. No support, anything. Nothing. And they will actually end up like the grooming gang victims. They will even get attacked by the control left, because you shouldn't even talk about it, because the perpetrators are Muslims or immigrants from Islamic countries. I'm sorry. News like this is just... And yes, I'm gonna go on record and say that Western culture is absolutely, without a man fucking doubt, Western culture. No questions about it. You can write that on paper with me saying Western culture is superior. You know what? I can't read this anymore. I can't even keep thinking about it. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry for this. Thank you for watching. See you on my next video. Good night.